WDEV at radiovermont.com. The teams you care about.
The Patriots are now closer to the bottom of the AFC than the top. That's a fact.
The stories that matter to you.
Trevor Story, man, he makes the Red Sox much, much better in 2022.
This is your home for New England sports.
I'm just wondering what happens next for UVA, because I think there could be a lot of turnover on that roster.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show on a Wednesday right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show tonight, all 90 minutes. We go right up until Red Sox baseball, weather permitting. We know there's some rain in Chicago. We'll see what happens. We will keep you posted if anything changes, but we are scheduled for a 7:10 pregame show and 8:10 first pitch for Game 2 of that three-game set against the White Sox. Red Sox blasted the White Sox last night, 16-3. We'll talk all about it with Red Sox insider Tom Caron over at Nesson. He'll be with us in about 15 minutes, and we got plenty of stuff to get you ready for Celtics Heat in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals as well. I spoke with Freddie Coleman. You can check that out on the podcast channel already. You'll hear some of it today and tomorrow. You can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. That's 802-585-3026, your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. And let's waste no time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts are on the Brady Farkas Show. They're brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center, with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I want to start with the Patriots. I know there's the Celtics going on. I want to get to them plenty today, too. But I want to start with the Patriots, who were on the field this week for the first time, really, since getting blasted by the Bills in the playoffs. They're at OTAs. And all the talk is about who is going to be the Patriots play caller. And I will say, as I've been saying, I am concerned about how all of this is going to play out, because I don't think that there is a good resolution here. This story is complex. It's kind of confusing. There's more layers to it than I would have thought, but I will just say, emotionless, I am concerned. Here's what we've got in factual nature. Josh McDaniels, your longtime offensive coordinator, he left. He's now the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. The Patriots have brought back Matt Patricia and Joe Judge into the fold, and there's also been rumors of one of those two or Bill Belichick calling the plays this season. At the first day of OTAs on Monday, where the media was present, Bill Belichick was heavily involved in play calling. We know this because everybody in the media said it, including Mike Reese of ESPN.
My top observations from the Patriots OTA today start with Bill Belichick spending most of his time with the offense. The final 11-on-11 drill, I watched him look down at a play sheet, maybe relay something to Mac Jones, and then Mac Jones relayed that to the rest of his teammates, and they ran the play.
Okay, so that's the factual nature of everything. Now let me tell you why I'm concerned. Do you care about this? Are you worried? 802-585-3026. Here's why I'm concerned. If Bill Belichick has to be a play caller, I think that's probably good for Mac Jones, but I think it's probably bad for the Patriots overall. I have been worried all along about Mac Jones having different voices and having too many cooks in the kitchen. If Bill Belichick is the play caller, if he is the guy, if he is the voice that Mac Jones gets consistently, that is probably best for Mac's development and the best way to streamline the process for him. Bill Belichick has seen more football than anybody. I trust him more than Joe Judge and more than Matt Patricia to break down defenses, game plan, see things unfolding in real time, and call the plays. So for Mac Jones and his development, I do believe that Bill Belichick being more involved would actually be a good thing. But for the Patriots as a whole, I don't think it would be a positive development. If Bill Belichick has to be heavily involved with the offense on game day, calling plays, what is happening to the rest of the team? Does Bill Belichick trust his sons and Gerard Mayo enough to just never be a part of the defense on game day? Bill Belichick has always been with the defense on the sideline. Is he willing and is he able to give that up? And can the Patriots function without him being a part of the nitty-gritty on game day with the defense? This is a defense with serious questions. Can Belichick and the team afford for him to ignore it? I wouldn't want that. So, yes, Bill Belichick being one singular voice is good for Mac Jones, but I don't think it's great for the team. Does Bill Belichick have to ignore the defense now? That would be a loss for the Pats. And what about the other in-game stuff? When to call a timeout, substitutions, all that other stuff. When to go for it on fourth down, or rather, what to do on defense if they're going for it on fourth down. A head coach, in a lot of cases, is best when you can manage and delegate. When you have to get heavily involved right there in the nitty-gritty on one side of the ball, you cease to be a manager, and other things then have the opportunity to go haywire on you. Mike Giardi of the NFL Network talked to a coach today in the AFC who said, I'm more concerned about who helps him solve problems in game. One of the many things that McDaniels brought to the table was that. That was huge. He was prepared and adaptable as the game played out. What exactly will happen here to the structure of the Patriots if Bill Belichick has to be, head in a play sheet or over talking to Mac Jones after every single offensive possession? I will never forget this. I spoke to Tony Dungy one time in my career, about 4 or 5 years ago, and he said there's too many coaches who are also coordinators and play callers, and too many coaches end up robbing Peter to pay Paul. I have never forgotten that too many coaches, they get so buried in a play sheet that they lose sight of everything else. If Bill Belichick has to be involved in a play sheet at that level, is he losing track of everything else? That would worry me. Good for Mac Jones, bad for the team. Who's injured? Does Belichick know it if he's buried in a play sheet? Is he not? He's not going to be able to talk to the defense. Can he go talk to his defensive leaders? What about when he's talking to Mac after a possession? Timeouts need to be called, penalties, challenges. Who is doing all of that stuff? It has worked. It worked for Sean McVay this year to be a play caller and win a title. It's been fairly good for Kyle Shanahan. But for every one of them, there's a Matt Nagy or a Ben McAdoo or a Pat Shurmur or a Jason Garrett who gets so embedded with the offense that other things around the offense begin to fail. And that is not a place that you want to be if you are the New England Patriots. That makes me nervous. It would help Mac Jones. I would rather have Bill Belichick calling the plays for Mac than Matt Patricia. No doubt. But it's not the best overall situation for the Patriots. And I don't love the alternative either. That you could go from Josh McDaniels to Joe Judge or Matt Patricia, who have never been play callers in the NFL, weren't play callers as head coaches. It would free Belichick to do all the other things, but it would hurt Mac in the offense. So I don't think that any of this right now is particularly good. That is why I am worried about this. We'll talk more about this in the 6 o'clock hour, but I am worried about this. I do not think that this is a great situation unfolding for the New England Patriots. Joe wants to talk about the Celtics. We'll get there, Joe, I promise. Also says on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, in Bill we trust, but he should be more with the defense like he has been. I agree with you, Brady. If it does help Mac Jones to just have one ear or one guy in his ear for the whole season. And that leads into another question I got here. Steven, who's in the Islands, driving through Central Vermont, he says, Brady, love the show. What do you wish the Patriots had done instead at offensive coordinator? One, I wish they would just have an offensive coordinator. And two, I wish they would have gone with someone young and innovative. I don't know if Bill Belichick at 70 years old would have gone for ceding control to some 32-year-old hotshot, but I would have liked to see the team go that way. Some young guy with different perspectives, who's innovative, who's got a different playbook. I would have liked to see that, frankly. I would have liked to see that. I think that the Pats could use that rather than this, think tank of Belichick, Judge, and Patricia. One more question. Mason and Duxbury, of the two options you presented, Brady, what would you rather see the Pats do? I guess I'd rather have Belichick call the plays, let him be the voice to Mac, but that would be my preference, but I guess it's the lesser of two evils to me. Belichick can call the plays and everything else falls by the wayside, or everything else is good and the play calling is suspect. I don't love either one of these developments, frankly. I don't love either one of them. We'll talk more about this in the 6 o'clock hour. Right now, the Red Sox are absolutely rolling. They've won 6 straight. They put up 16 on the White Sox yesterday, and they destroyed Dylan Cease, one of the top young pitchers in the American League. We'll talk about their offense, but also Nick Pavetta's revival here in the month of May. Sox insider Tom Caron. He's with us next on WDEV.
Hi, folks. Dan and Pat Keene here, owners of Lamoille Valley Chevy, with exciting news. The pre-owned super sale is now on at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Tell them, Pat. First, I want you to know that we are coming off the best start to a year in the history of Lamoille Valley Chevy. And due to this, our lot is now loaded with pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs, and we've got to sell them down. Right now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we have several pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs, including many Toyotas, Hondas, Jeeps, and Subarus that have been through our shop and are ready for immediate delivery. And at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we also have a great selection of Chevy certified pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in stock that come with a better-than-new 100,000-mile warranty. Plus, listen to this offer for you. During May at Lamoille Valley Chevy, everyone who purchases any pre-owned vehicle in stock will get a $500 gas card on up. That's a great deal. So come get yourself a great deal and a $500 gas card during the pre-owned super sale happening now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, and spread the word. At Lamoille Valley Chevy, we know price matters.
WDEV is positively thrilled to take part in this year's Central Vermont Humane Society's Walk for the Animals. Join other humans and their furry friends Saturday, June 11th at 9:30 on the State House lawn. From there, we'll parade through Montpelier. Prizes will be awarded for Best Doggy Costume and Best Doggy Trick. Media support for the Walk for the Animals is brought to you in part by Curtis Lumber. There's a Curtis Lumber near you. Find out where at curtislumber.com. Ladder One Grill. Steaks, burgers, brick oven pizzas, calzones, pasta, seafood, and more in downtown Barrie. And VDM Law. Vermont attorneys serving the community since 1977. The Central Vermont Humane Society's Walk for the Animals, Saturday, June 11th at 9:30 on the State House lawn. See you there.
Those families in the Central Vermont area are needed to house the players of your Vermont Mountaineers. If you have space in your home, please consider becoming a host. All players are fully vaccinated and boosted. Players will have their own transportation, and dinner is provided on game nights. What's in it for you? How about free season tickets and free baseball camps for kids or grandkids? If interested, email host families at thevermontmountaineers.com.
Go, 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 Mountaineers. Go.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Looking for the latest information on the Red Sox?
Not only is David Ortiz a Hall of Famer, but he is one of the best of the best.
How about the Bruins?
Are they a Stanley Cup champion? Probably not as presently constructed, but they're a playoff team.
And you've come to the right place. We talk now with NESN insider Tom Caron.
Baseball isn't boring because there's still nothing like the communal gathering of fans at a baseball game.
On the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. WDEV.com. Red Sox are rolling. They've won 6 straight. Red Sox baseball comes up again tonight on WDEV with our coverage beginning at 7:10 from Chicago. First pitch is 8:10. Joining us now is our Red Sox and Bruins insider over at Nesson, Tom Karen. TC, how are you?
Good, Brady. How you doing?
Excellent. I'm finally over my game experience tragedy from Sunday, but I do appreciate your hospitality at Fenway and the new Nest in the studios. You guys got some real nice digs out there in center field.
Yeah, they took care of us. It was a long time coming, and there isn't often a opportunity to build anything new at Fenway. So when they put this up, we got to be part of it. It's really been terrific. It's a great place to, as you saw, to be able to keep an eye on the entire game and the entire stadium. And I'll tell you what, we were in the middle of the mayhem when Franchi Cordero hit that walk-off grand slam Sunday to seal off the series sweep of your Mariners.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm amazed. Now, you're a TV pro, so maybe it's not as difficult as I think it is, but you guys are in a fishbowl there. Everybody's watching, everybody's talking. Somebody could tap on the glass or something, even though, there are security there. How do you keep your focus with everything going on around you?
Yeah. It's funny, a lot of people have asked me that. I really haven't noticed it at all. So maybe I'm just oblivious or that focused. When we're on the show and when we're working, the headsets are on, you can't hear anything. As you know, when you have headsets on, they kind of block out everything else. There's no tapping on the glass because there are security people there and there's a barrier that keeps you off the glass. But also, you saw where I sit, my back is kind of to the fishbowl, so I don't really look that way. Jim Rice is kind of facing them. He ends up interacting with everybody a lot more. You know what? It's fun. It's just cool being in the middle of the ballpark, and it's all been good. So, and the team's been winning now. It could have gone the other way if they kept losing, but they've turned it around.
I think it's funny because right behind you essentially is they're calling it the Truly deck or something like that. There's a Truly whole patio area where there's a new bar area, which is awesome, but there are some kind of bar stool like seats right behind you. And so me and my buddy Steve, who I went to the game with, we went and before the game and we kind of just sat down there just to see the view. And the security guard comes up to us and goes, "Hey, are these where your actual seats are?" And I said, "No, we're just kind of hanging out." And he said, "Okay, good, because if you're actually sitting here, I have an entire speech I'm required to give you about not giving the finger or anything because you're going to be on TV the entire game."
Oh, that's hysterical. I had no idea. I know that, so there's like a standing room area, but that's not in the shot. We can't see you if you're standing. And that's open to anybody. Anybody can go up there and grab beer and stand on that. It's kind of a stand-up height bar top to look out on the field. But there's seats, that are behind us that are in the shot, and those are sold as tickets. But if they don't use them, they let people sit there. But apparently you get that speech, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, you get the speech. So basically where you do your live hits sometimes, fourth, fifth inning or so, those seats, you have a spiel there. You have to have a certain amount of decorum in order to be present.
Well, we had one slightly inappropriate gesture in one of my early hits when the team was losing. And that was on a night when it was like college night and everybody in the bleachers was there for the $9 college. By the way, great idea by the Red Sox. They've done this a couple of years now, the $9 college ticket, and you get a really young, excited vibe. But I don't literally people go in there and they spend $9 on a ticket. They think they save it, but then they spend $10 a beer. and they don't limit how many of those on their $9 ticket. So I've never, whatever. It's great though, because we saw it last year, especially with that wild card game against the Yankees. It's a really young vibe out there, which has been a lot of fun, I think, for the team.
Tom Karen, Red Sox and Bruins insider over at Nesson with us here on the Brady Farkas Show. Let's move to the team. And last week and the weekend was a lot about the offense. I'll get there in a second, but I want to ask you about Nick Pavetta. I understand it's easier to pitch with a 4-0 lead and a 7-0 lead like he did yesterday, but by and large, for the month of May, he's been really, really good, and this team has needed it.
Yeah, he's been their best pitcher over the last month, no doubt about that. And it really all begins with his command. If you go back, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it was 13 walks in like 16 innings in April. He's only walked one batter in 26 innings in May. And when he's got command, last night, even though he had the lead early, it didn't take away from what he was doing, dropping in the back-to-back, the final out of the first inning and the first out of the second inning, the 3 and 4 hitters. He just froze with perfect curveballs for strikes, and they never took the bat off their shoulder. And when he's doing that, coupled with the velocity he has, mid to upper 90s, when he dials it in, he's really tough to hit. So it's been a huge advantage because Evaldi has pitched well except for the 5 home run game. But they haven't won a lot of games when he's pitching. Pavetta's been the guy for whatever reason. They score a bunch of runs when he pitches. So that's worked out well. But he's been very good. There's no doubt about it. We saw glimpses of it last year. Can he keep his mechanics in check? Because he kind of loses his way sometimes mechanically. And that's what was happening in April. The front shoulder kind of flies open. His arms coming behind himself. It becomes really hard to throw strikes and command his pitches. He's got it all locked down tight right now.
While it's better for the Red Sox that this doesn't happen, I'm disappointed as a fan. We're not going to see Kopech pitch for Chicago in this series, who's been really good. He's got a 1.29 ERA. And every time the White Sox and Red Sox play, they're obligated to revisit the trade for Sale and Kopech and Moncada. I don't want to go down that road. But I am excited about, one of the things Chaim Bloom was brought in to do is to create more prospects like Michael Kopech. And they don't come along every day, but we're starting to hear a lot of buzz about some of these guys in the upper levels of the minors. Who in particular are you hearing about that may be able to help this season?
Well, Brian Bayo is the best of them. He got promoted from Portland last week. He's now made 2 starts at AAA and has struck out 10 in each start. Another 10 strikeouts last night over 6 innings. He's got an ERA of 3 in his 2 AAA starts, and I think it's 20 strikeouts to 3 or 4 walks. Pedro Martinez worked with him on a changeup, and it's become a really, really, really devastating pitch for him. So I just see he's at the top of the class, no doubt about it. Now, they haven't confirmed this, but it looks like Josh Winkowski will probably get a start in the doubleheader against the Orioles on Saturday. He's in line to anyway. He had been brilliant, although Sunday, probably the first time he knows that the call-up is a sniff away. He went out and gave up 5 runs in 6 innings. So that was his worst start with the Paw Sox. I don't think that will change their plans. He's one of the 5 guys they got back in the Andrew Benintendi deal, along with Franchi Cordero, who's now playing well. So you start to see some of the benefits of that trade, some of the rewards they're getting back. But yeah, Winkowski's a guy to watch. And then, right now, most of their real talent is in Portland. And Brian Mata is a guy that they didn't know what his velocity would be like coming back from Tommy John surgery. He's hit like 103 miles an hour, like something ridiculous. And it's just starting. It's got a ways to go, obviously. I think he's still single A. But they've got now, for the first time, really AAA, AA, single A, they've got legitimate pitching prospects working their way up. And to me, it's really the best class of pitching that they've been developing since Lester and Papelbon and Buchholz were coming up through the organization together, and ultimately came together to win a World Series, 17 years ago now. So it's an exciting time as far as the future. How soon those guys are able to help, we're seeing. Like Bayo, they are going to be really careful with. I don't care what, they could have 3 starting pitchers injured tomorrow in Chicago, and that won't change the timetable for Bayo, because they are going to keep him on his track so that when he gets here, he's here to dominate and he's here for good. Connor Seabold's been good for them. He's injured right now. Not sure he's got the stuff. We saw them eat him up pretty good in September as one call-up. He's going to have to be, a little bit more of a finesse pitcher, but some of these other guys we're talking about, they've got the stuff to come up and be really good at the major league level.
Tom Caron, Sox Insider over at Nesson, with us here on the Brady Farkas Show, as he is every Wednesday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Let's talk about Sale. We know he's throwing again. He seems to be progressing nicely. He can't come off the injured list until early June anyways, because he's on the 60-day injured list. I've seen the stuff, I think, from Nesson. Could they use Sale in the bullpen? What exactly do you think the plan is for Sale, and when will we see him?
Yeah, I don't think they will put him in the bullpen, only because I think they're going to look at him as a guy, again, maybe an appearance or 2 when he first comes up. Who knows, right, just to get him in the innings. But I think they're going to want him on that every 5th day so that they can really work and manage and be careful with him. Having him out in the bullpen, ready to throw any time at a moment's notice is probably not what's best for his long-term recovery. It's been basically 2 lost years now, right, or more, really. For Chris Sale, 2.5, and they really if you're going to get anything out of Chris Sale again, it's going to be back in the starting rotation. What it does allow you to do is move somebody else to the bullpen, so that'll be good, right? When these guys come back, Paxton later in the year, towards the end of the season, I think they're hoping, and he might be a guy that maybe this year he's pitching out of the bullpen, but with Sale, I think he'll be a starting pitcher. And I think it's probably July, really, when you see him in Boston. He's going to need to ramp up. He's going to need to make some minor league starts and rehab and get through all that.
Trevor Story's been great, AL Player of the Week, homered again last night. He's certainly living up to that contract now over the last couple of weeks or so. If he stays really good this year, does it change anything as far as the Xander Bogaerts conversation goes? Whether with the team, whether with Bogaerts, does it change anything?
It might for the team. I mean, it really might. And I don't even know if it changes it because I don't really know what Chaim Bloom believes. And Chaim Bloom keeps his cards close to the vest. We know Bloom wants him. We know the Red Sox want him. But do they want him to the point where they're going to give him a massive contract? That I don't know. And frankly, I doubt. I think you look at, the Houston Astros moved on from Carlos Correa and survived. The Dodgers moved on from Seager and survived. I think there is, history here with teams that have made that move away from a franchise shortstop and continued. And with Trevor Story doing what he's doing, he could obviously be the shortstop. That said, Xander Bogaerts, in a lot of ways, I think means more to this team than just what he provides on the field. And I think that needs to be factored in. What he means to the fan base, what he means to us at NESN as far as the TV product. He endeavors have earned the connection with fans that gets them preferential treatment as opposed to just what numbers say, what their range is, what their UZR is. And by the way, both have been much better defensively this year. But having said all that, I don't know. I mean, Chaim Bloom in Tampa Bay never had to think about any of that stuff. He just had to win. Winning wasn't going to affect ratings. Winning wasn't going to affect attendance. They were going to be down either way. So it's kind of freeing in a way if you think about it, that none of the other stuff matters. Just winning matters. Here, winning is first and foremost, and the Red Sox really do believe that. No matter what people say, this ownership wants to win. They are driven to get a fifth championship. That said, there are all the other things that go on. And we saw the reaction after the Mookie Betts trade where he had a fan base almost in full revolt. What'll happen with Bogaerts? I mean, listen, when you were losing, it became a lot harder to think about, well, they stink and they're not signing my favorite player. Any team that's winning has the leeway, the runway, if you will, to make a move that might be unpopular if they're winning and they think they can continue to win. So it does factor in.
TC, we appreciate it as always. Our coverage of Red Sox baseball begins a little over an hour from now. 7:10 tonight, Red Sox White Sox Game 2 from the South Side. TC, we'll talk again in 7 days.
Thanks, Brady. Appreciate it.
Yeah, me as well. As of now, the game is still on. We know the tarp is on the field, or was on the field at least as of a little while ago. We'll continue to monitor it. But, 7:10 is the pregame show. 8:10 is the first pitch. Good stuff from TC, as always. I mean, the NESN Studios, it was fascinating to me how he's able to keep his focus with all the hubbub going on out there. It really is amazing. I mean, I've done shows outside the studio before, and you can lose your focus. People are coming up to you. People are trying to talk to you like while your headset's on. They're in a glass room. I get that. But still, you got people around there, so it's very impressive. We're going to get back to some of what TC had to say in the 6 o'clock hour. I want to talk about the idea of Sale to the bullpen. I think tomorrow I want to get to some of the Bogaerts stuff as well, because we spoke to Mutt from WEEI yesterday about Bogaerts. We spoke to TC about Bogaerts today also. So, I got some thoughts that are kind of marinating on that also. But Red Sox are hot. 6 straight wins. They're only 2 games under 500 now, all of a sudden at 20-22. I mean, that's pretty good. The White Sox have had a lot of injuries, a lot of attrition, but all told, they're only 1 game better than the Red Sox. And we think of the White Sox as being this power. And again, they've been hit hard by injuries, but they're only 1 game better than the Red Sox going into tonight. They could be tied by the end of the night, assuming they play. All right, let's get the CBS National News Update next, and we'll come back in with the rest of the Brady Farkas show for the 6 o'clock hour. And I told you that I'm concerned about the Patriots coaching situation. Why are we so threatened by the idea of the Patriots maybe doing something non-traditional? I'll get to that. That's next on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren. 96.5 W243 AT Barrie. 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier. AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. After posting his plans on social media, investigators say the shooter who attacked an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, barricaded himself in a single classroom to carry out the massacre. CBS's Aaron Jones reports.
As the FBI went door to door speaking to neighbors, investigators revealed the suspect had legally purchased 2 rifles soon after turning 18.
There has been no criminal history identified yet. He may have had a juvenile record, but that is yet to be determined. There was no known mental health history.
During a press conference today, Governor Greg Abbott said the community is gutted, but Beto O'Rourke interrupted, calling the response predictable.
Sit down. You're out of line and an embarrassment.
He says Abbott's doing nothing about gun violence. The shooter got his guns days before the massacre after his 18th birthday. Loved ones of victims say they're horrified.
I just don't understand how people could sell that type of a gun to a kid, to an 18-year-old. Like, what is he going to use it for?
New York Governor Kathy Hochul wants to raise the legal age to buy guns from 18 to 21.
How does an 18-year-old purchase an AR-15 in the state of New York, state of Texas? That person's not old enough to buy a legal drink. I want to work with the legislature to change that.
The school shooting happened 10 days after 10 people were killed at a supermarket in Buffalo. George Floyd's daughter joined President Biden today at the White House as he signs a new executive order on police reform.
The bottom line of the executive order includes reforms that have long been talked about or finally implemented at a federal level.
The order comes 2 years after Floyd's death. It bans chokeholds, restricts no-knock warrants, and creates a national database to track police misconduct. Another huge shipment of baby formula has landed in Washington from Europe to help families still struggling to find supplies. That delivery arrived as the head of the FDA got grilled on Capitol Hill over why it took so long to inspect the formula plant that caused this shortage in the first place. More people are pumping the brakes on their holiday weekend plans over high gas prices. WBZ's James Rojas talked to drivers in Boston.
It wouldn't affect the trip.
No, I don't think so. You know, people do what they do. A lot of people ignore it.
But not everyone can ignore it. One guy tells me nowadays he's only driving for the essentials.
Go food shopping, and that's pretty much it. Don't really go anywhere anymore.
AAA says the nationwide average is about $4.60 a gallon. Bay Area drivers are paying the most at $6.30. This is CBS News.
It's a day to honor,
to remember,
to reflect.
This Memorial Day, honor our fallen soldiers with taps across America.
For more information, go to cbs.com/taps.
Sunday afternoon, it's opening day at the nation's site of excitement, Thunder Road. The stars and cars of the American-Canadian Tour return in the Community Bank NA 150, plus Tigers, Street Stocks, and Road Warriors. Don't miss the preseason car show Saturday morning. Then Sunday afternoon, the 24th annual Community Bank 150. Adult admission $25. Kids age 6 to 12, $10. 5 and under, free at the nation's site of excitement, Thunder Road, Quarry Hill, Barrie, post time 1:30.
John Batchelor inviting you to join me weeknights at 9 for Eye on the World. This nightly news program is essential listening for those who seek to understand current events, global politics, economics, science, and literature. I'll speak with experts to offer context and insight. Eye on the World, weeknights at 9 on Vermont's news station, WDEV AM and FM, and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Vermont Army National Guard. Aired by the Vermont Association of Broadcasters and this station.
how well does your garden grow? Tune in Saturdays at 12:30 for In the Garden with Peter Burke. Peter and co-host Joel Nashman give you one full hour of the latest news, helpful tips, and your calls to talk about what's happening in your garden. It's brought to you in part by Guy's Farm and Yard. If it eats and grows, Guys can feed it. GuysFarmandYard.com. In the Garden with Peter Burke. Live Saturdays at 12:30. Hear the podcast anytime at WDEVradio.com. Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on this Wednesday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. I want to thank Tom Caron for joining us here from Nesson, our Red Sox insider. If you missed any of that interview, you can check it out on our podcast channel on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, our interview with Freddie Coleman is there. You'll hear a bit from Freddie here as we move through probably tomorrow. We've got his thoughts on the Patriots, too. I took the train again to work today. I had a message in from Phil on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line who wanted to know how I enjoyed my train ride. It was another great trip. I actually got to Waterbury from Essex in 25 minutes. It takes me 32 minutes to do that drive, 32 minutes to drive in from Essex to Waterbury. You got it in the train in 25 minutes, and I think it bills it as like a 28 to 30 minute trip, like on your train ticket. So we got here faster. And last night I got home faster as well. It has been great. I love taking the train. It's so relaxing. I wish it was cost effective enough for me to do it all the time. If I could save the gas, or if I could save the mileage and not have to get gas as often, I would love to do it. Again, it's not quite enough of a financial win for me to justify doing it all the time, but I wish that I could, because it is awesome. And I got to see Vermont from a slightly different perspective, and it really was beautiful. I mean, last night was a great night. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. Sun was out. Great sunset as I was going out there. It's a slightly different route, on the train as you would be driving on Interstate 89. Like, I'm doing it again tomorrow. That'll be the last time that I take the train for a bit. But whenever I have these long shows, I'm definitely going to do it. Like, I really do enjoy it. I think that it is awesome. And remember, last year when I took it, right after the Amtrak Vermonter got going again, I thought it was a disaster, frankly. I thought it was an absolute disaster. But now, hey, we're 3 trips in, right? Like, I got 6 trips planned, 3 trips in, there and back yesterday and there today. 3 for 3 right now. We got there when we were supposed to, left when we were supposed to, got there earlier than I thought I was going to. It was just a seamless process. So I wish it was more cost effective. I really do. Again, it's nice to not have to get gas for this week, essentially, but still more costly than driving in and getting gas. But I did like it. So for Phil, who asked, I loved it. I loved taking the train. I thought it was absolutely great. And I was Essex is the second to last stop on the way back. I think it goes to St. Albans after that. So, I understand that by and large, there's not going to be many people left on the train. I think I was one of 4 people left. I think I was in my section, there was 4 people. I don't know how many people were totally on it, but I think there was 4. It might have been 25 or 30 on the whole train by the time that I got to it. I was the only person, I think, that got on in Waterbury and went to Essex. Everybody else had been coming from wherever. So we'll do it again tonight. Hopefully I get back. If I get out of work early enough, I might go have a drink. I might, if I got a couple, half hour to kill here in Waterbury, I might go hit up a haunt and have a beer or something. Lament the fact that my baseball team got swept by the Red Sox and is about to lose 2 of 3 to the awful Oakland A's. I just might do it. We'll see how much work I get done or how quick I get my work done when the show is over. All right. We are going to get to the Celtics here in a little bit, but I want to get back into some of the stuff with the Patriots because I've been holding on to some of this stuff for a bit now, and I got some other rapid-fire sound bites that I want to get to as the Patriots are at OTAs. And kind of my question for the room is, and my question for myself even is this. Why does the Patriots coaching situation frustrate us and scare us so much? Why does it scare us so much? Dan Orlovsky of ESPN has said twice in the last 2 months that this coaching situation on offense is the worst thing right now going into the NFL season.
2 months ago, I said this was the most concerning thing to me in the NFL, and it still is. The Patriots took a strength and an advantage and now sit at a massive disadvantage. I have no clue what their offense is going to be, what their scheme is going to be, and then
the Patriots have this coaching triumvirate, right? Belichick, Patricia, Judge. We don't know who exactly is doing what. We don't know who's going to call the plays. I guess there's a methodology where people could say, hey, it's innovative. For me, it's not innovative. For me, it's concerning. Why does not having an official offensive coordinator scare us? That's what I am attempting to answer here, and I want you to answer it as well. If it scares you, why? 802-585-3026. One, I think it's because we just simply like knowing things, and the idea of not knowing who's doing what gnaws at us. I think that's part of it. A small part, but I think it's part of it. Two, I think it's just different, and what's different is scary. We're not used to not knowing who's in authority. That's a little bit of it. But for me, the thing that is most concerning, the thing that is most worrisome, and the thing that the thing that gets at me the most is just the idea of messaging. That is where the majority of my problems with this situation come from. Messaging. Right now, there's no offensive coordinator. So Mac Jones is getting multiple different messages, and it's not consistent. Everybody's kind of coaching everybody, and that is what worries me. I don't want to misread this. I think that collaboration is important. I think working together is important. I think sharing ideas is important. I think democracy on a staff is important. And I think coaches need to do all of that behind the scenes. But when it comes to the message, getting to the players, I think players need to have that one person they can look to and they can trust to give them that message, not three. We got Belichick, Judge, Patricia, everybody coaching everybody. I want one person. Collaborate all you want behind the scenes, but when the message gets to Mac, it needs to come from one person. That is what bothers me. There is a reason why there are parent-teacher conferences. There are not necessarily parent-teacher-student conferences. The parents meet with the teachers, the adults talk, the adults come up with a process and a strategy, and then the parent goes home and relays one singular message to the kids. There was collaboration in the room, the adults were talking, but the kid heard one voice and one message. That is how it should be done. From authority figures, you should be getting one message. Think about it in terms of sports for your own kids, because I know for a fact that if you are driving in your car, you have heard or seen this scenario. How many times have you seen a parent give their kid coaching advice that is directly different from what a coach says, right? You know, the T-ball coach tells your kid to bat with their elbow up. You go home, work on the tee in your backyard. You're telling the kid to bat with his elbow down because the coach is a moron. Then the kid goes back to practice the next day and the elbow's up because the coach told him to. Now, maybe you were right. Maybe the coach was right. But the bottom line is no matter what, the kid is confused. They walk away not sure what to do. How many times, how many different sports are out there? You have a kid. You pay for that kid to get lessons in a sport. They work all off season, batting lessons, pitching lessons, shooting lessons, skating lessons. They work all off season. They get coached by somebody. Then they go to the high school team and the coach tries to undo it because they don't agree with the methodology. And now the player is confused again. This happens all the time. I don't want this for Mac Jones. I don't want that scenario for Mac Jones, where at the beginning of practice, he's talking with Belichick, and Belichick tells him this, and then halfway through practice, Matt Patricia comes over and tells him something different, and then Joe Judge comes over and tells him something different. Maybe it's not quite that helter-skelter in the NFL as opposed to your local T-ball, but I promise you it can happen. Mac Jones throws a pick in the first quarter. Belichick comes over. Belichick leaves to go do something else. And then Joe Judge comes and puts his arm around him and says this, and it's something different. I don't want that scenario. That is why this scares me. One offensive coordinator, one singular voice, that would be better. A definitive power structure, a definitive hierarchy where we know exactly what is going on, where Mac knows exactly what is going on. I coached and played college baseball, low level, Division III, junior college. I get it, but the same thing applies. I was the pitching coach. I wanted the pitchers to hear things from me because the messaging was consistent. When the head coach came over in frustration and said something that conflicted with what I was teaching, it bothered me. If the hitting coach came over and started talking to the pitchers, I'd run him out of the meetings. It bothered me. Coaches should collaborate, but do it on your own time. Mac Jones and the players are not your laboratory for tinkering with things. The message should come from one person. I'm not saying that Judge and Belichick and Patricia don't know football and that they aren't smart football minds, but if you give everybody power, then nobody has power. And that is what Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston said last week.
It seems like everyone's in charge. Nobody's in charge. And we know that Bill Belichick oversees everything. But the notion that you have this many different cooks putting their spoon in the soup and sampling it and dicing it, it doesn't help a developing team, guys.
Ding, ding, ding. It doesn't help a developing team. It doesn't help a developing quarterback. If you have too many cooks in the kitchen and the recipe gets jumbled, that is what worries me. I believe in collaboration. I just don't believe in it happening in a way that garbles Mac Jones's mind. Do you remember what LeGarrette Blount told us a month ago? LeGarrette Blount was on the show on what day was this? April 14th. He called this triumvirate a recipe for disaster. That is what LeGarrette Blount, a guy who has played in Foxborough, who has played for the Patriots, who knows all of these guys, that is where we're at here. Okay? That is where we're at. Players think that it is a disaster waiting to happen. I've heard multiple people say it is a disaster waiting to happen. Texter says on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, Formula One drivers have only one voice in their helmet. That's the way it should be, right? You should have one pitching coach. You should have one hitting coach that gives the message. I know there are co-hitting coaches in some organizations, but one guy should be giving the message. The same thing should be happening for the Patriots in the NFL. Continuing on a bit here, did you hear what else Orlovsky had to say? He continued to go on and bash what the Patriots are doing.
I was thinking about it last night. Look at their schedule and look at the teams that they have to play and find one game where you can be honest about and say the Patriots have an advantage when it comes to their offensive system or their offensive play caller. Go through the list. I can find maybe Pittsburgh, maybe because Matt Canada's a little bit of a still unknown.
Now, I don't pretend to have a great handle on what everyone else in the AFC is doing, play calling and offensive system and coaching wise right now here on May 25th. And you can have great coaches, but you also need great players, right? It's a player-driven league. So even as bad as what I think the Patriots have right now, if they had great players, they could probably overcome it. I just don't think they have the players that can overcome it. But nonetheless, I will say what I've said all along. The Patriots have a really tough schedule here in 2022. And it's going to make their challenges this year very real. It doesn't mean they're awful, but I think they're going to have a tough time here. I like some of what they've done. I don't hate everything, But let's just call a spade and don't go drinking the off-season optimism Kool-Aid. They're not as good as most teams in the AFC. And Orlovsky says they don't have as good an offensive coaching staff or whatever. Just look at the players that they don't have. They're going to play Buffalo, who see them twice. Buffalo's better. Miami, I would say, is good for at least one win against them. They beat them twice last year, after all. Baltimore and Cleveland have better rosters. Arizona, Green Bay have better rosters. The Pats are going to win games, but just to think they're going to win 10 again like last year or more, I think that's a foolhardy way of thinking. I saw Pro Football Focus say they have the second hardest schedule in the NFL. I believe it. 9 home games versus 8 road games, improved division, AFC North, Raiders, Cardinals, 2 games out west in back-to-back weeks, multiple holidays, which is weird to do. There's a lot of stuff going on there for the Patriots. Yeah, it is difficult. It is the Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. All right, let's get to Who's Saying What.
Whoa. What did he say?
Mac Jones? Good Lord. Mel Kiper's got to slow down on this. Mac Jones ain't going to work, folks. It's not going to work. He's got to come to terms with it. It's not going to work.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What is brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash. That's Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes, beginning at just $20 a month. So $20 a month for unlimited car washes. If you want one free car wash, just text the word Vermont to the number 30 and then 400. So they were talking about the Celtics earlier this week on WEEI in Boston. This was before Game 4, so take this for what it's worth, before Game 4. But Christian Fourier, former Pats tight end and radio host there, he said he thinks that Jason Tatum's stock has actually declined over this postseason. He wasn't buying that Tatum was becoming a top player and ascending. He's actually thinking less of him at this point. Our guy Mutt, who was on the show yesterday, he was on EEI with Fourier. He had to put Fourier in his place.
He was part of a team that swept out the Nets. He was the best player on the court against Giannis. Stock has gone up since the playoffs started for me. And there have been probably some bad. Saturday, I'm not excusing. It was an embarrassing performance for Jason Tatum. One will look back on and say, what the hell happened? But I would say stock up from.
So stock up. That is the only acceptable answer. Mutt is the voice of reason. The only acceptable answer is that Tatum's stock has gone up. Tatum has become a true star in these playoffs. I don't do top 3, top 5, top 8, top 10. I don't care about that. He is a star. He's outdueled Kevin Durant. He's outdueled Kyrie Irving. He's shown he can be a two-way player and play real hard-nosed defense. He's outdueled Giannis. He's been great after losses. He had 10 in Game 3, he had 31 in Game 4 here. He had 46 in Game 6 against Milwaukee. He has been big in these playoffs. He has been huge in these playoffs. The Tatum stock is going up hugely. He's showing you why he's a guy that you build around. He is a player in this league that you build around. He's blossoming, in my opinion, on the leadership front. His game itself is becoming more diverse. He knows what chords to play each individual game. Some days he goes to the line. Some days he's better from distance. Some days he's good on the mid-range. Like, he hasn't gone in the tank when he's played poorly. He's played through mild discomfort, showing you that he's tough enough to be able to do that. He had 31 on the bum shoulder. I'm not saying it's the world's worst shoulder, but he's playing through injury and proving you he's tough enough to do it. He's played games where Marcus Smart is out. He's played games where Rob Williams is out. He's played games where Jaylen Brown wasn't particularly good. He's played games with Derek White out. It doesn't matter who has been not there or not good. Jason Tatum has been able to shoulder the load most times for the Boston Celtics here over the course of this these playoffs. I don't know if Fourier is just trying to be different. I don't know if Fourier is just trying to get a rise, or if he genuinely thinks that Tatum hasn't been impressive. But Tatum has been impressive. He's done everything that we have asked, and then some. We've called for him to carry the load offensively. He's done it each time. He's been great after losses. He's been great on the road. That Game 6 performance in Milwaukee where he went for 46, we're going to remember that, and we're going to talk about that. The way he defended Durant and forced him into 4 turnovers in the first quarter of Game 1, we're going to talk about that. If everybody is out here saying that Tatum is now a superstar, and if everybody is out here saying that Tatum is a two-way player and he's one of the top two-way players in the league, if everybody is on that train, then you, Christian Fourier, cannot be out here telling me that the Tatum stock is not going up. Of course it's going up. That is the only acceptable answer here. Good job by Mutt to put him in his place. That's for sure. Good job by Mutt. That's why Mutt's our guy. Mutt is awesome. So, all right. Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV. We're brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training, which is online at ProDriverCDL.com. That's ProDriverCDL.com. They are Vermont's most complete locally owned. No, they're not Vermont's complete locally owned home center. That's Sticks and Stuff. But Pro Driver CDL is Vermont's premier truck driver training school. They're online again, ProDriverCDL.com. They can help you with your Class A CDL, your Class B CDL. You can get passenger and advanced skills training there as well. Book work and real-life application of that book work. So that is Pro Driver Training. All right, we will step aside. We'll come back. Ryan Russillo with some interesting comments on this Celtics Heat series. We'll get you ready for Game 5 tonight. Keys to the game. That's next on DEV.
Looking for full, part-time, or seasonal employment? Wednesday, June 1st from 10 until 3, join us at the Barry Auditorium for the 13th Annual Central Vermont Job Fair. Employers are seeking candidates for entry-level to management positions in all types and sizes of companies. Companies like Darn Tough and Vermont Creamery, Central Vermont Medical Center, and National Life will have representatives ready to schedule interviews, collect resumes, and make hiring decisions on the spot. June 1st at the Barry Auditorium from 10 until 3. Info at centralvtjobfair.com.
Hi, I'm Yvonne from VSECU, a credit union for everybody in Vermont. I think people will be surprised that VSECU offers loans for more than just new and used cars. We finance all types of recreational vehicles, including bikes. Bicycle commuting is popular in Vermont. Mountain, cargo, or electric bikes. We've developed a special financing program to meet the needs of enthusiasts and conscientious people who'd rather transport themselves with dual pedals. You can rely on VSECU when visiting a car dealership and when you're at a local bike shop. Get pre-approved or just come see us after your purchase and we'll finance your new mode of transportation. Finding ways to empower our members who are contributing to their health, local communities, and the well-being of our environment is just another reason why we exist. Make change simply by banking with VSECU. Let's empower possibilities together at VSECU.com.
Federally insured by the NCUA.
Folks, Dan and Rick the Kid here from Lamoille Valley Ford. Before we start, we want to thank our customers and congratulate our entire team for reaching our goal in the car, truck, and SUV challenge at Lamoille Valley Ford.
Folks, with a record start to the year, you can take it from me. It's all gas and no brakes at Lamoille Valley Ford. Check this out. Due to its huge success during the challenge, we've decided to extend our gas card offer for the month of May. With a purchase, lease, or custom order of any new or pre-owned vehicle in stock at Lamoille Valley Ford, you'll leave with a $500 gas card today. That's right. Even on an order of a new Ford at Lamoille Valley Ford, you'll get a $500 gas card. That's huge. And right now, our inventory at Lamoille Valley Ford is massive with a huge selection of new Ford trucks, SUVs, and several of the all-new Ford Broncos on the lot and available. Plus, over $2 million in inventory of late model, low mileage, pre-owned vehicles, and we're ready to make deals.
Woo! So drive routes 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and Lamoille Valley Ford. Get a great deal on your new or pre-owned vehicle, plus a $500 gas card today at Lamoille Valley Ford. And remember, at Lamoille Valley Ford, we know price matters.
Congratulations to Tim Nisbet of Greensboro, our latest winner from the WDEV Fairness to Fans machine. Our next contest is Thursday, June 9th. If you haven't entered, fill out the entry at WDEVradio.com. Then tune in when we fire the machine. If we call out your name, you'll have 5 minutes and 50 seconds to call in and win. The Fairness to Fans machine, wonderfully maintained by LaRue Brothers Transmissions of Barton, only on WDEV. The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
As of now, Red Sox baseball still on in Chicago. 7:10 with the pregame show. 8:10 the first pitch. It's going to be Rich Hill against Lucas Giolito. Rich Hill looking to bounce back from that rough start he had against Seattle. Remember, he only threw 2 innings in that game last Thursday against Seattle. He gave up those 4 runs. Yeah, those 4 runs he gave up. The big 3-run home run by Dylan Moore in that one was the big blow there. And they got Hill to give up the 4 runs, I believe, in just the 2 innings. And then Tanner Houck came in and kind of proceeded to shove for a couple innings and did great. But, Rich Hill looking to bounce back tonight. It could be a tough lineup to do it against. That White Sox lineup is good in spite of what they showed yesterday. They also were out both Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert here. So the Sox are catching the White Sox at a good time here. Robert on the COVID list. We will have the lineups for you at about 6:50 here, as long as we get word the game is still on, and as of now, it certainly looks that way. So, this is the only time the Red Sox go to Chicago. Red Sox are already playing a doubleheader this weekend against Baltimore, so I got to imagine baseball doesn't want to give them a doubleheader on Thursday and a doubleheader on Saturday. So we'll see what happens. I think they're going to try their best to get this one in. So you can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. In addition to the Red Sox, we've got a basketball game going on tonight. Celtics taking on the Heat in Game 5. The series is all tied up at 2 games apiece. As far as I'm concerned, the Celtics need to win this game. I think this is another must-win. I think you have to get a 3-2 lead in this series. You cannot afford, in my opinion, to put your backs against the wall against a team that is so physical and is so physically tough. The Celtics are more skilled than the Miami Heat. If you put yourself in a position where they have the upper hand, then one of the next 2 games, I think they're just going to be able to bully you and force you into frustration and force you into mistakes. But if you get the upper hand, if you win tonight and you get the upper hand, I don't think they can just will themselves to victory each of the next 2 games. If you get down 3-2, then the Heat are going to know that you're desperate, and they're going to play upon that desperation. They're going to physically manhandle you. They're going to get you frustrated with the referees. They're going to try to force you into turnovers. That is what they're going to do. And I got to think that if they win tonight and you're in that desperate position for 2 games, I got to think they're going to be able to play that kind of game one more time to beat you. But if you get the upper hand, if you win tonight and you force them to have to play a skill-based game against you twice, I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. If you get up 3-2 and force Miami to have more skill than you, to shoot better than you, to pass crisper than you for the next 2 nights or the next 2 games, I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. Celtics have to treat this like a must-win. None of the flat starts that we've seen plague this team in this series. We talked so much yesterday about how on Monday, the Celtics, their buzzword was urgency. They need to come out with the urgency tonight, not just try to find the urgency heading into Game 6. They need this game. They need it. 8:30 tonight, and we'll be talking about it, of course, a lot tomorrow as well. We have by the way, real quick, we have a fun show planned tomorrow. We always talk to Buster Olney on Thursday. I'm thinking that we may, and I don't know this for a fact, we may have Buster just on the podcast channel because we're going to talk with Kevin Miller tomorrow, the former UVM hockey standout who was a member of the Boston Bruins for a long time, just retired going into this year. Former Bruins defenseman Kevin Miller is going to be with us tomorrow. I believe he's going to join us at 5:45. Buster may join us also, maybe on just the podcast channel. We're not sure, but Kevin Miller coming up tomorrow. I'm very, very excited about that. Speaking of former UVM guys, how about Ryan Russillo? Longtime ESPN radio host Ryan Russillo, now over at The Ringer, he talked about the changing nature of this Celtics series.
I could go, well, look, Marcus Smart didn't play in game 1. They switched in Pritchard a million times. He played 30 minutes. He comes back game 2. That's the Celtics. That's what you expect to see. It's 1-1. I think, as I've said throughout, I think Boston's a better basketball team. And then game 3 happens, and you go, wow, all right, Miami's really tough. They're really tough. And then I start going, well, Boston just handed them the basketball about half of those 25 turnovers. They still got it to 1. So why can't they come back and win this thing? And they didn't have Rob Williams. So, yeah, after 4 games, I'm sitting here going, yeah, they turned it over a ton in game 3. And even without Smart, they had Rob back. And that changes things with Bam. They didn't, whatever. I think Miami's hurting big time. And I would be surprised if they came back and won the series in the last 3. But this is the story of what this series is.
Yeah, so Russillo says basically that after every game, he can convince himself of something different. He is right. The games have been so different. Nothing has really been the same. So every time it changes, our opinions can change with it. I get that. But at the end of the day, I just think the Celtics have more top-end talent than the Heat do. And that is why I think the Celtics are going to win this series. I think they're going to win tonight, and I think they're going to win one of the next 2 to win this series. It's just as simple as that. To me, the Celtics have more top-end talent. Jason Tatum is better than this version, the injured version of Jimmy Butler. Jaylen Brown is better than Duncan Robinson or whoever else you want to throw in there. And can we really count on Victor Oladipo to go for 23 again? I don't know. I just think the Celtics are better. And I'll say this. I think the Celtics are going to win tonight. But if even just one of Rob Williams or Marcus Smart play tonight, it's a wrap. They can still win it without Smart and Williams, but if even just one of Rob Williams or Marcus Smart play, the Celtics win this game. One of the keys, one of the benefits for the Celtics is I think they are able to play and win multiple versions of a basketball game. We hear it a lot, the idea of positionless basketball. It's a phrase we hear a lot. We heard it kind of from Brian Scalabrine, former Celtic, earlier today.
Yeah, consistency, I think that would be part of it. Here's the thing. Like, when they are at their best, they move the ball. They have all kinds of guys on the court that could shoot, that could drive, that can make great decisions. They don't have to make the decision of, do we play a defensive guy? Do we play a shooter? Like, all the guys on the team, they can do that.
Talks about versatilities, kind of, again, positionless basketball, saying it without saying it. The Celtics have shown they can win different versions of a game. They can win with Robert Williams playing a huge role and Marcus Smart not playing. They can win like they did in Game 2 where Smart plays a huge role and goes for 24 or whatever. If even one of those guys plays, the Celtics can win. I trust the Celtics to win more than I trust the Heat because I just think they're more versatile. If this game was 79-77, I think the Celtics can win that. If this game was 120-118, I think the Celtics can win that. I just think they're more diverse and they're more well-rounded. More top-end talent that can just do more. Celtics are going to win this series, and the Celtics are going to go to the NBA Finals. And that's going to be, since I've been here in Vermont, Red Sox have won a World Series. Pats have won a Super Bowl. Bruins have gotten to a Stanley Cup. UVM's gotten to the NCAA tournament in basketball. I've never yet seen a Celtics NBA Finals. We're going to see it this year. I fully believe that. And the more I keep talking about it, the more convicted I get in that. Brown and Tatum, this is their time. Smart, this is his time. Robert Williams, I know he's banged up, but he has emerged as a real force. He has been great for this team, and he's been very good in these playoffs when he has played and been available. If the Celtics lose this series, it will be because they failed in something. I just don't think this version of the Heat is as good as them, especially as injured as they are. Smart and Williams are questionable. Looks like Williams is going to play. We don't know yet about Smart, but if one of them plays, I think it's a wrap the moment the ball is tipped. They can still win it without them, but if even one of them plays, it is over, I think, the minute the ball is tipped. And I'm not trying to be an overconfident D-bag about it. I just think the Celtics are better than the Heat. The Heat will come out, and they will be aggressive, and they're at home, and they'll come out, I think, with urgency that maybe they lacked in Game 4. But if you can withstand an initial run, I think the Celtics will win this game. Look, the thing the Celtics cannot afford is they cannot afford to have happen to them what they did to the Heat the last time in the last game in Boston, right? When Miami gets down 18-1, that game's over in the first quarter. Celtics went up 7-0 because of Derek White. Like, the game was over really early. If the Celtics can just take a couple punches and hold their own, then they're going to be in the spot that they want to be in. If they get down 18-1 or 26-6, that's going to be a problem. If you can withstand Miami's intensity early, then you're going to be golden, and the Celtics go on and win this game. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball comes up about 30 minutes from now at 7:10. We spoke to Tom Caron of Nesson earlier about Chris Sale and what his role may be when he comes back from injury. I'll tell you why I agree with everything TC said. That's next on DEV.
WDEV at 90 is underwritten by Northfield Savings Bank. They're the bank of you and everything you do at nsbvt.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Celebrating 90 years. WDEV.
WDEV is positively thrilled to take part in this year's Central Vermont Humane Society's Walk for the Animals. Join other humans and their furry friends Saturday, June 11th at 9:30 on the State House lawn. From there, we'll parade through Montpelier. Prizes will be awarded for Best Doggy Costume and Best Doggy Trick. Media support for the Walk for the Animals is brought to you in part by Curtis Lumber. There's a Curtis Lumber near you. Find out where at curtislumber.com. Ladder One Grill. Steaks, burgers, brick oven pizzas, calzones, pasta, seafood, and more in downtown Barrie. And VDM Law. Vermont attorneys serving the community since 1977. The Central Vermont Humane Society's Walk for the Animals, Saturday, June 11th at 9:30 on the State House lawn. See you there.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, then get ready to pay up. The IRS has giant private collection agencies actively tracking down folks who owe the IRS. So if you think dodging them was stressful in the past, it's going to get a whole lot tougher. Optima Tax Relief has this advice. Don't wait. Solve your tax problems now before it's too late. Optima Tax Relief works to stop the demand letters, stop the aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS collectors from targeting you. Ask Optima about the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, and nobody knows this program better than they do. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and they get results, having resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get a fresh start. Call today for your free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
My mother was very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign and she wasn't even really sure where she was at.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Do you want to learn more about the free market perspective on important public policy issues affecting you, your work, and your community? I'm Bill Sayre, and I hope you'll do so by joining me in conversation with Vermont opinion leaders as we discuss how best to make Vermont an ever better and more affordable place to live and work. Common Sense Radio with Bill Sayre, weekdays 11 till noon.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox take on the White Sox today. Rich Hill against Lucas Giolito. And Earlier, I had a chance to catch up on the show about an hour ago with Tom Caron, our Red Sox and Bruins insider over at Nesson. He's with us every Wednesday at 5:45. We talked about Chris Sale, a guy we haven't thought a lot about lately, but Chris Sale is working his way back from injury. Remember, he had that fractured rib cage, the kind of weird injury in spring training. He's been out ever since. He can't even come back at all until the middle of May. TC said he thinks he'll be back sometime in July. I've seen the questions, I've seen the ideas about putting Chris Sale in the bullpen when he comes back. I would not do that. I would not put Chris Sale in the bullpen. I would keep Chris Sale as a starter. Here's what TC told us an hour ago.
Yeah, I don't think they will put him in the bullpen, only because I think they're going to look at him as a guy, again, maybe an appearance or two when he first comes up. Who knows, right? Just to get him in the innings. But I think they're going to want him on that every fifth day so that they can really work and manage and be careful with him. Having him out in the bullpen, ready to throw anytime at a moment's notice is probably not what's best for his long-term recovery.
I agree with everything that TC just said. Like, to a T, I agree with everything that TC just said. I would keep Chris Sale as a starter. I get the allure of putting him in the pen. I do. You're worried he's going to break down, so you want to preserve his innings. You do need help in the bullpen. You think that Chris Sale could be an effective closer, potentially. I really do understand it. But Chris Sale is under contract for 2 more years after this one. So he's under contract for 2.5 years in total with the Red Sox. I have to care more about the player than I do the team in this situation. The team could use Chris Sale as a closer. If Chris Sale was right, the team could use him as a closer, and that would be electric potentially. That has electric potential. That could be great for the Red Sox. However, the team needs to do what is great for Chris Sale. And what is great for Chris Sale is keeping him as a starter, getting him on a schedule, getting him on a routine where you can manage things there. It is not, to TC's point, what's best for Sale is not having him down in the bullpen, warming up 3 times in a week to go in just one, pitching 1 inning here and 1 batter there. The world of relief pitching is incredibly unpredictable, and that's exactly the opposite of what Chris Sale needs. Chris Sale needs structure, and he needs a lot of it. I don't know if Chris Sale is ever going to be what he was. I don't know if Chris Sale is ever going to make 30 starts in the season again. But if you want even one little chance at those things happening, he needs structure. Okay? He needs structure, and he needs structure badly. That is what is the best for him, for his health, for his continued kind of reassimilation into the Red Sox, into the Red Sox clubhouse. It's not having him down there to throw 30 warm-up pitches on Monday, to come in and throw 20 regular pitches and then do the whole thing again on Wednesday. I know that we think of relievers as just failed starters, and in some case that is the case. But being a reliever, it takes a special kind of thing mentally and physically to be able to do what relievers do. And I don't think that that is the best scenario for Chris Sale. Not even close. I don't believe it's the best scenario for Chris Sale. Exactly what TC said. He needs structure. He needs to know exactly what his routine is. Hey, I'm pitching on Sunday. What do I need to do to get ready to pitch on Sunday? And then what can I do to recover properly? Because relievers don't get an opportunity to recover properly as well. And that's a huge deal. Right? As a starter, I remember my routine would be what? Pitch, and then the next day I would run, and you would stim and ice, and you get your back worked on or whatever's bothering you. And then on Wednesday you'd throw you'd throw lightly, and then on Thursday you'd throw it flat ground, and then on Friday you'd throw a quick light bullpen, and then on Saturday you might take the day off, and then Sunday, boom, you throw again. Well, I guess you throw on Saturday actually. So a quick light bullpen on Friday, and then you pitch on Saturday, and then you do the whole thing over again. Relievers don't get that. Relievers have to pitch through pain. Relievers have to pitch through tiredness. Relievers have to pitch through sore backs and sore legs and everything. I don't need that. That can introduce more problems for Chris Sale. That is not at all what I need. I don't expect, I told you earlier, I am done expecting things from Chris Sale. Right? I don't expect him to throw 180 innings. I don't expect him to throw 7 innings in each individual start. I just want to try to keep him healthy and keep him useful and keep him healthy for the duration of the 2.5 years of my contract. If I put him as a reliever and something goes wrong, I could jeopardize him again for the life of the contract. I have to put him in the best position possible to stay healthy so he is of use to me for a longer period of time than just this year. I have to. It's for the best for him. It's the best opportunity for him. I mean, Chris Sale is, a potential valuable piece to what I'm doing here. And I need him. I need to put him in the best position to be good and to succeed. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Last night was pretty fun, wasn't it? Sox have won 6 straight. Sox put up 16 runs yesterday.
Payoff pitch. Swinging a high fly ball left field. Backing up Pollock. Backing up. Did he do it again? Yes, he did. Travis Story with number 8, and the Red Sox jump in front 4-0. He got him. On the breaking ball is what he did. 3-2 hanging hook. See ya. 3-run Johnson.
I love Act. That was the Nesson call from Dave O'Brien in Act. That was Story, who's got 7 homers in a week here. I mean, Story's been awesome. Rafael Devers, he hit double-digit home runs yesterday.
And a 2-0 from Ruiz. Hammered the other way. That ball sucked. Pollock back, and see you later. There's another one. Number 10 for Rafael Devers. Red Sox lead it 8-0. Their 3rd home run of the ball game.
Watch the hitter, Ed. Watch the hitter. Soon as he hit that ball, head went down. He knew it.
That was Kevin Millar. I am admittedly amazed at what the Red Sox did yesterday, because Dylan Cease is one of the top young pitchers in baseball, and they were all over him yesterday. So this is not a fluke. Okay, we talked yesterday about if the Red Sox were, or 2 days ago, if the Red Sox were good or if they were just beating up on the bad Mariners. Well, they put up 3 runs and some good swings against a really good young arm in Logan Gilbert on Sunday, and they crushed Dylan Cease yesterday. Dylan Cease is awesome. Throws 98, 99 miles an hour, has a weird, funky delivery. It's hard to pick up, and he's got a great curveball. I mean, there's some real stuff there that Cease has, and the Red Sox just dominated him. And what did I tell you on Monday that one of my biggest takeaways from the Red Sox was lately? It's exactly what Alex Cora said yesterday.
Blendless. They didn't give at-bats away.
They didn't give at-bats away. That is where the Red Sox are right now. They are making life difficult for opposing pitchers. They're taking pitches that should be taken. They're fouling off and spoiling pitches that pitchers make, and they are driving mistakes. They are not giving away at bats. It's what we saw last year's team do. It's what we didn't see enough of from this year's team early on in those 3 weeks. I mean, that is what good teams do. The lineup is what we call long, where there's a bunch of good players in it, but they also just don't give away at bats. They make you earn it. They drive up your pitch count. They spoil pitches. They hit mistakes. That is what the Red Sox did yesterday. They hit mistakes. They hit pitches in the zone. They leave pitches that are outside the zone, and they get you out of a game early. And now you look at it, the Red Sox are in game 2 of a series, and the White Sox have already blown through a bunch of their bullpen, right? They've already blown through a bunch of their bullpen because of what the Red Sox did yesterday. I love the approach the Red Sox have had for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, right? Texas, Houston, Seattle, and yesterday. It's been a far different team with a far different lineup with a far different mentality. White Sox are 21-21. The Red Sox are 20-22. Lucas Giolito pitches for the White Sox 2-1 with a 2.84 ERA. Rich Hill on the mound for your Red Sox 1-1 with a 3.90. Leading off for Boston, Kike Hernandez. He homered yesterday on the first pitch of the game. Even though he's only hitting 200, he does have 19 RBIs. Rafael Devers bats second, plays third, 10 homers, 25 ribbies for him. JD Martinez has hit in 21 of his last 22 games. He's hitting an American League leading 366. Xander Bogaerts is at short. Alex Verdugo is in the lineup in left. Trevor Story with his 8 home runs and his 33 ribbies. He is at second. Franchi Cordero's at first. Christian Vasquez, who's all of a sudden gotten hot, hitting 268. He's a catcher. And Jackie Bradley Jr. now up at 213. He's been admittedly a whole lot better of late. He plays right field, and that's ninth. For the White Sox, Tim Anderson, the speedy shortstop, is at short. He's hitting 365, 1 point behind Martinez. Andrew Vaughn is in right field. Yohan Moncada, who's been dreadful since coming off the injured list, he's at third. Jose Abreu's at first. A.J. Pollock is the left fielder. Jake Berger's the designated hitter. Adam Engels in center. Reese McGuire's the catcher. And Josh Harrison bats ninth and plays second. That'll do it for us. Thanks to Tom Caron for stopping by. Thanks to Freddie Coleman. He stopped by the podcast channel as well. So you can go find both those interviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Kevin Miller, former Bruins player, Buster Olney, tomorrow. Red Sox baseball is next on DEV.
Memorial Day is just around the corner, and that means summer events are kicking off.